Hello, my name is Maria Sardiñas. I am a teacher at MAST Academy. I have been teaching close to 30 years now, and I teach U.S. history to 11th and 12th graders.
Awesome. So, Ms. Sardi, what's been some of the experience that you've had with democracy and government in the past?
Well, from firsthand experience, I was born in Cuba, of Cuban parents, and my parents had to leave Cuba in 1962 because of the Cuban Revolution and the onset of communism in Cuba. And of course, they were anti-communist, and they started rounding up the men. They started, imprisoning people. They started shooting them. And so my father believed that we needed to get out of there in order to, and so he sent my mother and myself and my two sisters, who were very young, to Mexico to spend some time with a family member there, hoping that the situation in Cuba would get better. But unfortunately, the Bay of Pigs occurred. That was a fiasco, and then he realized that it was there to stay for a while, and there was no option of staying, and so he left and came directly to Miami. And then once he found a job and got an apartment, he brought us over from Mexico.
Awesome. So how do you think that experience, that shift in government has affected your life now here living in America?
Well, for one thing, I'm very anti-communist because I have seen firsthand. And then my children's father is Venezuelan, and then I saw that also happening in Venezuela. So it's been like a double whammy.
Yeah.
And I lived in Venezuela for a few years as well. So just brought home the destructive nature of communism and what it does to families, what it does to the country. You know, it leaves the country in misery. And so that for me has, and the system of government here and democracy has been so important in my life because I love this country. I think we have the best system in the world. It opened our arms to us as immigrants, and we were able to make a life here in this country. And so, and it was all because of our system of government, democracy, where people are free to choose to do what they want to do, study what they want to study, and have opportunities, both economic, political, and social opportunities to create their lives here in this country. And I think that's been so essential for me. And probably the reason also I teach history, I think, number one, I love history. I've always have. I was always very curious as a child. My father would talk about, the history of our country since I wasn't there. I wasn't raised there, and it always fascinated me to know, where we come from and what occurred before. And so it was a natural extension, I think, of that curiosity as a child to study history.
And over the summer, there were a lot of protests, organizations calling for the freedom of Cuba. Do you have any hope for that in the future?
Well, I think one thing we can't ever lose is hope. And I know it's been very difficult for the Cuban community. It's been 60 years, and one tends to think, oh, it's short-lived. It's not going to really do anything. But I have hope. I mean, look at the Soviet Union. It took them, years also, and I think eventually people will come around. The regime, the old guard will die out, and I think the new people can invigorate it. And so I have lots of hope that Cuba will finally be free one day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Sardi.
You're welcome.